right at this minute?
Disappointment is the overriding one, but also there's also pride there in the season that we put out. But the disappointment one seems to override that at this point, which is similar to our playing group and a lot of our staff. It's, you know, for a season where, you know, we did whatever we had to do to give ourselves the best opportunity. You know, finals footy gives you feedback, doesn't it? And so we've got probably the best feedback we've had for a number of years. That we still got a fair bit of work to do.
8 goals and 10 goals in the 2 finals. Matthew, after being, you know, the most devastating offence in the comp, what went wrong? What is it about finals that doesn't allow you to play in that same way?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the obvious one is the speed and the intensity and the increase in pressure that comes with finals footy. And until you've actually been there and experienced it, it's a hard one to know what to expect. We got 2 looks at it this year. Some of our players, their first 2 looks. And if you watch the way we play, you know, we're nowhere near our best footy. But you've got to give credit where it's due. The reason that teams are in finals is because of the pressure they bring. They don't allow you to move the ball the way, maybe ways you do during the season, and you know, you come up against different challenges. But our biggest learning out of all of this is that there's still work to do. So, you know, although, as I mentioned, we're incredibly proud of the home and away season we put out there, we walk away tonight with, unfortunately, just a few what-ifs. We still got things we need to be better at. We being, you know, everyone, staff, our playing group, and we will get that. We'll get that organically. We'll get that through playing the last 2 games. We'll get that through the 10 minutes we just spent sitting in the room reflecting on, you know, our tonight's effort. But it's a pretty hard one to swallow right now. But yeah, when you think about our club and the season and you know, the way we went about things this year, our supporters and our members, like I'm so proud of the way they went about it. They supported us right through to the end, and like us, they'll be hurting at the moment. But hopefully, and you know, sun comes up tomorrow, and we can start to work on how we can be better for them as well.
Looking back on it, do you feel like you maybe didn't come into finals on the best of form? Like, I guess, you know, straight past North and West Coast, probably could have lost to Collingwood another day if they were a bit more better going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there was a patch during the year where, you know, even as a group, we were coming in and surprised at the level we had. Everything was clicking. You know, I think anyone who's been in the game long enough knows that doesn't necessarily last an entire season. So we knew we'd have our challenge with that. What we were really pleased with, we just found a way when the form wasn't quite there. Now, I think, again, looking at finals footy, you're going to have to play to a certain level. Tonight, some of our fundamentals were at a level that we can't explain that level. You know, dropping marks, missing kicks, just execution was at a level that, well, you know, is it pressure? Is it expectation? Is it opposition? Is it perceived pressure that you put on yourself? The only way we'll know that is by keep trying to show up here and rock up and be in this position again and give ourselves another crack at it.
What was the message to the players post-game?
We discussed pretty much what we're talking through now. We just, you know, we talked about, I wanted to make sure our group knew that there were a lot of positives to come out of this season, but the reality of it is, and our players they agreed. You know, a few players spoke here and there, some of our more experienced, that yeah, there's work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. They'll now need to take a break, so physically and mentally, you know, get away from it, refresh themselves up. But I haven't seen a group work as hard as we do. I know every coach probably says that, but I can tell you we don't leave anything to chance in an off season or leading into, you know, us getting back into it. But our guys will go away with a scar there that's a pretty big one. It'll heal, but it hurts at the moment. and they'll know we've got to be better, and they'll want to be better.
When you look at the journey that you're on, Brisbane, the team that you kind of modelled the rebuild on so closely, their first finals campaign in 2019 was a straight sets exit. Do you feel like you're on the right path like they were and able to, then turn that disappointment into sustained, finals contention and terms of success?
Yeah, unfortunately we know Brisbane's journey too well, and we knew that coming in. I mean, we went from 15th to first in a year. Brizzy did something very similar. I think they got to second from maybe 16th. So we knew it was going to be a challenge for us. Were we confident that we had a degree? Yeah. We were confident that our guys, if they'd brought their best, that we would have an opportunity at it. But we also understood the pressure that comes with finals footy. So we knew it was going to be a big challenge for us.
The ranking situation, externally, it felt like, the club's been on the record, your CEO's been on the record saying it probably just went on for a bit too long. So it seemed like it had an effect on the club. On the club as a whole, administratively, did it weigh, are you able to talk about now that you're out, did it weigh on the team? Did it weigh on you and your job as coach?
No. We won't ever know, will we? What it did do, it changed the dynamic of our group. Isaac is, and this is my opinion, I think he's one of the best players in the game. So I think if any team lose their best player, then it becomes quite a challenge to replace that. I think, some of our guys, our younger guys, stepped up and showed that they can play at the level. But the challenge we had was sort of filling that void that Isaac's had there for us all year. That's purely on field. I don't feel like it affected us away from footy. But yeah, if we could have Isaac Rankin in for the last couple of games, I'm pretty sure we'd take that.
Did that have a personal toll on him? Do you think we have to look out for him during the off-season as coach?
100%. We will, as we mentioned, out of things like that, we want to make sure we look after everyone that may have been affected by that, and Isaac front and square on that. As much as I can be there for him, or we can be there for him, we will be there for him to make sure what he's gone through, that he's actually okay, and others.
Josh Michelle's a player who can provide a similar spark, albeit younger. If you had your time again, would you have started him, or was he just maybe not ready for that given the time?
In hindsight, it's easy to say we would have done this and we would have done that, but we've, 10 weeks out of the game is a big ask. We got Joshy on at half time. We felt like the game needed to change. I don't think everyone would have felt that. And probably, unfortunately, it's a big ask for someone like Josh. I mentioned it pre-game, he's done an unbelievable job to even get himself back to play this year. He's a pro. He was hungry to come in and try and help, but give some of the best players in the game after 10 weeks out are going to really struggle with that. So that wasn't necessarily the difference tonight. We unfortunately were beaten by a better team tonight that were ready for that pressure. In fact, they brought it when we didn't hold up.
What is it about the Hawks that makes them such a difficult team to play against?
Oh, they bring energy. I think they can beat anyone in the comp. This is the interesting part about this final series, and without taking anything away from our season, we finished minor premiers. There were probably 5, 6, 7 teams that could have done it, if things finished off well at the end of the year. Now, we did a fantastic job of being able to do that. And in the end, Hawthorn sort of found themselves scraping in. They're as good as any team in the competition. We've got no doubt about that. And that's not taken away from any of the other sides. So, to come from 8th or 7th or 6th this year is not going to be anything that surprises anyone, I wouldn't have thought, anyone who understands footy. There are some very, very good sides that are going to battle it out. And they've got as much chance of any team at the moment, being able to play in Melbourne.
How do you kind of judge the season? Do you look at it as a success then, given what you said before, or, yeah?
Without using a word, I think any team that's going to go from 15th to 1st, you've got some stuff right. We're really confident on what we're doing and what we're building. You mentioned Brisbane before. If we can be compared to them at any point, maybe across their journey, I think we're in a pretty good position. And that's what we're really proud of, is what we're actually building. It's not so much just the last 12 months we're proud of. We we were proud after the season prior to that. We just didn't get a number of things right in that year, and we had a number of injuries. So 15th to 1st probably wasn't quite as big as what most thought. Yeah, we believe we're doing the right things and we're on track. This is I guess this one really hurts, but maybe it's part of what we need in our journey.
The finals feedback that you got, did that surprise you, given where you finished?
No, yes and no. It didn't surprise me because I know how even the competition is, and probably just the way we played our footy in those finals was the most, not surprising, probably disappointing in that we weren't quite able to handle that pressure or that environment. And it's a number of things. It's what your opposition are bringing. It's maybe some of the expectation that lands on you when you are minor premiers. Yeah, disappointed that we weren't quite able to handle that. But so are our playing. Our playing group are in the same position. They're really confident coming in, and we get a great lesson.
Was Dawson impacted by his foot too much? Like, in the end, it seemed like...
By his foot?
Yeah, that he kind of was carrying, they said he was carrying since the Collingwood game. Like tonight he had a couple of kicks from outside 50, which you normally make the distance.
It's a really long year, and Dawson's, he's done a hell of a lot of work throughout the season, as has everyone. But yeah, there's things like that we may look at. Can we get our game to a point where we don't need Dawson necessarily every week in the midfield? We do try and do that throughout the season and moving forward at times and sometimes behind the ball. But yeah, we'll keep working on that. I don't believe I can guarantee you Dawson won't blame his foot. I thought he fought it out tonight. It just wasn't our night.
Apologies if this is common knowledge. Will Walker play next year?
We don't actually know. That'll work through over the coming weeks.
Okay.
We'll sit down with Tex and a few others and just talk through what it looks like.
Do you have an opinion on that?
I love the Texan. I just think there's different things that Tex brings to our group on a footy field that aren't necessarily just kicks and marks and handballs. There's a leadership component to it, but it'll be a decision where I think he'll have to. I guess we'll lick our wounds at the moment, and then we'll sit down and we'll talk through what that looks like.
Have there been any announcements, any retirements in the rooms tonight? Sometimes happens this time.
Not officially, no.
That's similar with Brody Smith too. You'll give him a bit of time.
Similar. It'll be a conversation. Yeah, Matty Crouch has been one that's sort of caught up with the group, but yeah, nothing tonight.
What do you need, Matthew? What do you think you need? I mean, have you got the cattle to handle the pressure if you get back to finals next year, or?
It's a good question because I think we'll organically grow. We're going to grow from this, and we're going to improve again next year. But like every side, our list management and our ability to try and add and acquire players from other clubs or from other areas that we think will improve us. We continue to be very active in that space. It doesn't mean you always get players. We've had a number of really strong years in that space and added some high level. We're going to continue to look at that. But yeah, we'd also look at backing in our growth and what we're going to learn from tonight.
What would you like when Justin Reid speaks to you and says, what would you like to add to the team?
A bit of speed and power in the midfield, gets us 3 high-end mids and some half-backs who've got elite speed and run, and gives a couple of half-forwards. It's across the board. It's you always want to add, what you can to your group, but I'm also really proud of our group that we've got at the moment. I know they're going to improve, so we're going to come back bigger and better next year.
Your attack was so positive throughout the year that the question was always, would you be too tall in finals footy? Do you think you were?
Well, we didn't really give ourselves a lot of opportunity to test it out, I don't feel. I know it's a fair question. It was one that was thrown around all year. Like, you can't play this many talls. You probably find me at times questioning whether you can or not. We did some stuff this year where we showed it can work. In finals footy, we'll go back and have a really good look at it, but maybe there is a need for a little bit more speed and a little bit more defence going the other way, but we didn't give our forwards a chance tonight.
What was the players' feedback to you in that meeting as to what went wrong?
At the moment, it's more the feedback to us is I think they acknowledge and understand we've still got a little bit of work to do. In fact, take a little bit out. We got work to do, and I mean, that's the most pleasing part. They're in touch with reality of where we're at. Finishing top of the ladder at the end of the year would be great if you're in the English Premier League, but we're not. You know, we're going to find a way to find our best in September. That's the feedback they're giving us as well, that they understand that.
Last one, guys. Would you move the bye? I know you wouldn't use it as an excuse, but you've just finished top. Lee Matthews has often talked about the teams that finish first and second don't get enough of a reward. Would you move the bye if you could?
I wouldn't have this year when the bye came around because we felt like we needed it. Right now I would. If we can go back, can we change it? Can we go back and change the whole thing? Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.